Blog Talk Radio.
This is Team Gooch, and we are in WGS, the best running wrestling and gaming radio show ever, only on Blog Talk Radio. And if you don't like anything we say or do, 1, we respect your opinion. 2, fuck you.
Hi, I'm Fenwick Mouth, and you're listening to... Fuck. Hi, this is Fenwick Mouth, and you're listening to WrestleDOWN, the discussion on wrestling now, dick. And I love to sell crack to my homies. So keep listening to WrestleDOWN and get down with WrestleDOWN. And by the way, I love my crack.
GCW presents live 100% chance of pain. July 23rd, the American Legion Hall at 3319 Veteran Memorial Drive in Abbeville, Louisiana. For more ticket information, call 337-366-7480.
WGS Radio is on the air. How's everybody doing? Double B Billy Boudreaux here, coming at you on this wonderful July 20th, 2011. And for some reason, I have a latent fear of sausages with chairs. Anyway, let's go ahead, because let me go ahead and make a round of introductions, because we got an exciting first hour to get to right here, ladies and gentlemen. First off, I'm going to go ahead and start with my right-hand man, the studly man, Ashley. Ashley, how you doing tonight?
Doing very good this week. Interesting week in wrestling and a great interview coming up.
Yes, indeed. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, in the second hour of the program, Ashley will be reviewing WWE's Money in the Bank. Was it worth the money to get it, or was it just going completely bankrupt? The only way to find out is to tune in into the second hour. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the proprietor of Ghost Cats is here. It's Andy. Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am doing just fine, ladies and gentlemen. He has a Ph.D. in chair shotonomics. It is the one, the only, Mr. Nick Bondage. Mr. Bondage, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. I know, as a good friend told me, it's raining around the world, but don't despair, because Nick Bondage has a special treat for everyone tonight. So stay tuned in and listen in. Hold on, Billy, hold on to your sausage. Jake, hold on to your swamp bud. My friends Ashley and Andy, hold on to your knickers. Fenwick the Mouse, hold on to your cheese, because it's going to be good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started, and let's introduce our very special guest. He is simply buff. He is the stuff, and the girls can never get enough of this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to WGS Radio, Mr. Marcus Alexander Bagwell.
Wow, did that guy, write that down and study it, or what? And he still messed it up.
Mr. Bagwell, welcome to WGS Radio. How you doing tonight, sir?
What's up?
First off, all my guests get here. Some applause. Applause.
Oh, I love it. The drum roll, I love it. Drum roll, fake laugh. I love it.
Mr. Bagwell,
how you guys doing, man?
We're doing just fine. We're so excited to have you on here. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time out to talk with us here tonight on WGS Radio. We can never thank you enough for that.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
All right, the first question I'd love to ask all of my guests here on WGS Radio is, how did you first become interested in professional wrestling?
Mine is very easy, believe it or not. Missy Hyatt moved in next door to me.
Missy Hyatt?
And, yep. Missy Hyatt, while she was dating Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert before he died, actually moved in 5 feet away from me, door to door, across the hallway from apartments. And she didn't know I was married, and she saw me at the pool, and her and Eddie were having troubles, and so she was, they were across the pool, and I saw this big blonde with big boobs, and I thought, dang, she was good. But she was saying the same thing, and she told the client, she said, the agent, she said, put me wherever he's at. And then my wife got home, and she told on herself, and we made it a big laughing joke, like, ha, 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 oh, my gosh, And so we all became friends.
Wow. Quite interesting.
I was actually, believe it or not, I was a licensed massage therapist.
A licensed massage therapist?
I still have my license to be a legal licensed massage therapist. When I was 18 years old, my parents had a 17-year lumber yard, and we were very well off, and they went broke in 88. And so I had to find something to do pretty quick, and I was thinking physical therapy, sports therapy, something like that. And so I did that first to get the first stages down, and then I met Missy.
Now, am I correct in asking this next question? You were trained in the WCW power plant. Am I correct in saying that?
You're not correct.
I'm not correct?
No. Power plant was not even born when I became a wrestler. There wasn't even a WCW building. There was the tower down at off Meredith Street in downtown Atlanta, but there was never a power plant when I started. When I started is what got people thinking, wait a minute, this young kid can do this. Man, maybe more kids can do this, So they started opening school, and they started doing it that way.
Can you take us about the time that you got into WCW? Like, how did it come about, and what were some of the people that you met on your first day in WCW?
How it came about was, like I said, with Missy. She said, she said, first of all, you got to get trained, and this and that. And I was like, oh, they don't make. I said, wrestlers don't make no money. And she said, our lowest paid guy makes $100,000 a year. And I said, tell me that one more time. And so this is back in 1988, 1989, and so I was like, so I went to school and came back. Now, there was a school down in Griffin, and Sergeant Bailey ran it with. It was a dump, though. Literally, there was Kevin Nash, me, basically Kevin Nash, and that's it. I was there to go check it out, and they told me $3,000 to get trained. And I came back, I told Missy, I said, Missy, I ain't got $3,000. You kidding me? So we went around a little further, and actually, a guy named Steve the Brawler Lawler trained me.
Steve the Brawler Lawler?
Steve the Brawler Lawler.
Do your research, Billy.
Okay.
I can tell you exactly where it was. It was Channel 69, Joe Pedicino and Bonnie Blackstone, and they were actually married. And so I was on TV instantly because, the way I looked and Atlanta and everything else. So they put the belt on me right away, which of course gave me a ton of heat, and which I've had my whole career. And from that point on, it just took off.
Can you talk us through, when and where your first match was, and what exactly the feelings you were feeling before you had your match and after you had your match?
Sure. They scared to death, and I was horrible because the guys I was wrestling was horrible, but I thought it was me that was horrible. Well, finally, Joe Pedicino and who's the Axe, Crash, Smash, one of those guys, they thought of my name. It was the Handsome Stranger and the Open Global, and called me the Handsome Stranger. And when that happened, my first match was like, I came back and I went, oh, my God, I can do this. I mean, I was all-county, all-state football, all-county, all-state baseball, and I was a good athlete and all that, no big deal, but wrestling was a totally different animal. I could not get the hang of it. But I realized fastly that you had to have two, this is a stupid saying, but it's true, two to tango. And you had to have two people, and we just would, you know, get in the ring and just look like crap. Well, when I got there, we were all in the same locker room, and I went, wait a minute. We can stay in the same locker room and talk and get this down pat? You know? And so from that point on, we, I got the hang of it real quick, real fast, and one of my first matches was against Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, which I pulled the gun on about a month earlier.
Well, Mr. Bagwell, before I get to my next question, we have a caller here on the line. He's from the 781 area code. 781 area code. What's your name and where are you from?
James in Massachusetts.
James, you're on the line with Mr. Marcus Bagwell.
Hello.
Hey, James. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
What can I do for you, man? You got a question?
I was just going to ask you one of the, like where you started training and stuff, but he already asked you that, so.
I got that answer, yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, the training thing was, I learned by looking stupid for about a year. And I finally got sick of looking stupid and got good. That's how I got trained. When you see yourself on TV look dumb, you fix it fast.
Well, James, do you have any more questions?
Nope.
Well, James, thank you very much for calling in tonight, and you have a great night.
Thanks, James. I've got a couple questions, Billy.
Well, Mr. Bagwell, that is the voice of Mr. Nick Bondage right here.
How you doing?
Hey, Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Not too shabby, not too shabby. No, I've had the pleasure of actually wrestling on a lot of the cards that Buff Bagwell has. I'm not sure if he actually remembers me or not, but we've done a lot of work together in Mobile for AWF and Dwayne Henderson and other various promotions.
I know Dwayne very well.
And other various promotions across the Gulf Coast. Now, my question for you, Mr. Bagwell, is did you ever get the opportunity to wrestle in the Omni Dome before they tore it down?
Oh, absolutely, several times. We had cage matches, and we had a big pay-per-view there with a steel cage match, and so actually there was even a Nitro there. Wow. There was one Nitro at the Omni, and then they tore it down.
Wow.
Yeah. So
there's so much.
There's so much how that was. Everybody and their mother came and tickets, and it was a mess, and it was a heck of a show. But that was the last of the Omni.
Yeah. I talk to Bullet about the Omni all the time. I always ask him about, tell me some stories about the Omni because I'll never get the chance to grace the
I'm not old enough to. Not saying he's old, but I'm not quite old enough to have history like that. But it was pretty awesome to see the Omni go from a couple hundred people to sold out at a Nitro, and our families were there, and wrestling was cool when it was stupid before, and so we were able to get to see that once. The Omni was able to get to see the Nitro one good time, and then it went away.
Yep. Now, for everybody else listening, Buff Bagwell came in at a very pivotal time in the wrestling business. It was right there at the threshold when a lot of the old-timers were either finishing up their careers and going on their way and paving the path for the new guys to come in, and then Marcus Bagwell came in, of course, as the handsome stranger. And for all of you who don't know anything about global wrestling, definitely do your research, because there's a lot of great people that pass through the gates of global wrestling. And I'm sure you could tell me
Tupac,
plenty of stories.
Tupac, Harlem Heat, me. I say Tupac. What's his name? X-Pac. Harlem Heat, myself, Eddie Gilbert came out of there, even though he died, but still he was one of the names. A bunch of the Patriot, several names came out of there. It was a really a good building. That's the original. We wrestled in the original Dallas Sportatorium, which was where the Von Erichs wrestled.
Von Erichs, yep. I pass by that lot all the time, and it's just an empty lot now. And it's
really?
Bad
That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it is a heartbreaker. Every time I go through Dallas and do shows there,
I don't know if people know this or not, but that ring was bolted in, and we couldn't bring our ring in because it was actually bolted in. It was a 20-foot ring, and it was just like wrestling on concrete.
Wow.
And we hated it because it was just. And we liked the way it was set up, but it was just like wrestling on concrete. But we had a lot of good times there.
Yeah. I have just two other little comments to make real quick, and then I'll leave it to the other listeners on the show. As far as the business goes, who was your favorite person to work with?
That's hard, man. 22 years and 11 of them with top-notch guys.
Mm-hmm. So I guess who did you have the most fun with and the most chemistry with?
Probably Harlem Heat would be one. Me and Scotty Riggs, and me and the Patriot and the Harlem Heat, and me and I always more tag team everything, but who else was there? Let's see. It was good tag. The Hollywood Blondes. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Brian Pillman. They were great, and we learned a lot.
Was that Brian Pillman and Rod Price, or was that
that was Brian Pillman and Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Okay.
Stunning Steve Austin at the time.
Yep. Buff, any regrets about the business?
Zero. I have zero regrets in my life. I wish I did have some regrets. That way it'd make a little more sense. But if I was working at McDonald's and they fired me and I didn't know why, I'd be really agitated. Well, that's kind of what happened to me, except for a bunch more money, and got released with no explanation. So in Atlanta at the Phillips Arena. So it was just I think I set up to crumble WCW and put us on the shelf, and that's what Vince did.
Yeah. One last thing, and then I'll leave it to the rest of the listeners. Real quick, do you have just a short, quick road story for us? Because we like to hear road stories here on WGS Radio, and if anytime we can dig a road story out of a vet like yourself, and we definitely are all ears and would love to hear it.
I've got 1,000 of them, but one of my top ones that just hit me, came to mind, was me, Steve Regal, and Scott Norton were going to Japan, and so at that time, still Scott Norton is very, very big in Japan, very popular, and Regal was kind of, but not. We were in business, and Scott was in first class. Well, Scott talked says nobody was in first class. We're in Japan. On the way home, Scott talked the stewardess into bringing us up to first class. So it was me and by the window and Scott, and then behind us was Steve Regal. So we did our deal, and we ate and took our sleeping pill to go to sleep, so we could sleep to get to home, because it's a 17-hour flight. And so all of a sudden, somewhere during that flight, the stewardess woke me up real nice, and she said, she said, Steve Regal is wandering around, and I looked up, and he was like just wandering around the cabin and everything. So I got him back down in his seat, and everything was fine, and she thanked me and all that. And it seemed like maybe an hour later or something, she woke me up again, a little more agitated. And this time he had food all over him, and I got him back up in his chair and cleaned him off a little bit. And each time I'm having to step over Scott Norton. And so I get him back in his seat, put his seatbelt on him, and the next time I got woke up wasn't so nice. It was, we were landing. And I knew just by flying for a long time that I said, wait a minute, I said, we're not to Minnesota yet, no way. And, and I looked out the window and I just saw snow everywhere. And I said, there's no way we're there. And before I could even think, they rolled up the wheels to the door and told us get our stuff and get off the plane. So as we're getting off, and I'm trying to explain, they said, shut up, get your stuff, and get off. And I'm trying to ask them, and by the time I open the door, I see Anchorage, Alaska police on the cars. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I look at Scott, I look at back at everything, kind of size everything up, and Steve looked like death. I mean, he had food all over him and twice as bad, and just looked just horrible. And at that stage, I said, I'm not going down for this. I said, Steve, I'm sorry, I'm not going down for this, buddy. So I got a cop. I got a cop to the store. I said, cop, I said, sir, would you please, tell me what's going on here, because I was asleep. Guilty by association, fine, but tell me what happened here. Steve had went to the restroom, hadn't closed the door, and the the stewardess was trying to close the door for him, and he turned around and peed on her.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
The emergency landed the plane. This is a 100% true story. The emergency landed the plane, and in Anchorage, Alaska, and they handcuffed Steve, took him off jail, and, of course, my phone was ringing automatically, and Bishop going, Bagwell, don't you lie to me or I'll fire all of you. I said, Eric, I know you think I'm the troublemaker. I said, but I'm not. This is what I didn't bury nobody. I just told the truth. But I wasn't going to lose my job. I said, Steve did this, he did that. I said, this is truth. If you want to fire us all, you can fire us all. That's what's happened. And so Steve got deported for a little bit, and somehow still managed to come back and keep his job. I can't remember. I don't know the details of that, but as we're talking to the police, they just close the door and take off with our bags. I said, what about our bags? And I got a bike ride to Sturgis as soon as I land. My motorcycle, my Harley, is waiting in Minneapolis to ride to Sturgis to do Hog Wild before when we could call it Hog Wild. And we changed it to Road Wild because Harley was going to sue us. So it was Hog Wild, and that was our Sturgis pay-per-view. And so I said, there's no way, and this is all going to come through. And But somehow or another, it all, my mom got my bags through customs over the phone. This is definitely before 9/11, go figure. And and she was able to get my bags over the phone, and they were in my room when I got there. The thought, and you know how it is when you're your time change and all that stuff. I mean, I finally doze off, and the fire alarm goes off at the Marriott.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So at
you got to do a major pay-per-view like the next day.
Yeah. Well, it's about 3 days away because we're going to bike ride, enjoy ourselves. We had a. I mean, it was a big time deal. It was a camper for the girls to ride in, a camper for the guys. They didn't want to ride all the way. That kind of deal. We had a big 18-wheeler for all the bikes. And if your bike broke down, they put it on the trailer and give you another bike. It was just a great trip, and we all were having a blast. It was me, Sting, and Mongo McMichael, and just all the bike guys. Eric Bischoff, Dallas Page, just all the Steiner boys, all the bike guys, and Kurt Hennig and Goldberg and everything else. So the next morning, there was no way in heck I was going to, be able to do this. So the next morning, they got the room key to my room and came in and started putting the clothes on me and shoving coffee down my throat and making me get up. And before I knew it, I was up riding the first day of 330 miles on a bike.
Wow.
That was the first day. There was two of those, and then Sturgis.
Billy, please.
That was one Dennis Rodman was in, and I think, no, maybe the next year that it was Jay Leno, but Dennis Rodman was on this one, and so it was a big deal and all that stuff, but it all came through, so that's my wild and crazy, one of my wild and crazy stories.
Wow.
Buff Bagwell,
pretty good one,
so much. That's a great one. That's one of the best ones we've heard so far. We thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
I appreciate your time very much, brother. And I will definitely see you down the road from time to time. So we wrestle a lot.
And remind me next time we see each other, because how hard it is to remember each other. But every city and all that stuff. But just remind me next time, I'll remember this conversation.
I know, brother. I know exactly what you're talking about. Thank you very much.
Okay, brother.
Well, Mr. Bagwell, another person here that's on the line, he is a wrestler in training himself. He is simply known as Dashing Kevin Walsh. Kevin, you're on the line with Buff Bagwell.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Bagwell?
How you doing, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I've got two questions to ask you, if that's all right.
I'm sorry now?
The first one, I have two questions to ask you, if that's all right.
No problem. Go ahead.
The first one is, as I'm in training as it is, 3 weeks into it, do you have any advice into, starting out in the wrestling business?
Do I have any what now?
Advice.
Any advice?
Yeah. Okay. Get out of it.
Yeah. I second that motion.
That'd be my honest, truthful, lay my head on the pillow and feel like I didn't lie tonight. Best thing I'd tell you would be get out of it and get a regular job. Because we thought the thing was going to turn around, and it hasn't, and I don't think it's going to.
Okay.
But here's the but. The good news is, if it does turn around, you're in a great spot. So, just have something on the side would be my advice, and keep your wrestling also, but also don't just see. I totally depended on wrestling, and it was all just pure luck. Like the guy first said, he said, that I came in at a pivotal time. It was all, guys were leaving, and they needed new younger guys, and it just kind of all fit in, so this all worked. but that's not like that now. And you turn TV on now, not know anybody, and if you can fire Buff Bagwell after an 11-year career in his hometown, there's zero security in it. So have a job with some security in it, and then keep the wrestling for a play toy. Don't look at it like I'm going to do this like I did, and it just luckily turned out. But just have another path, man. And definitely don't lean. Don't put all your all your things.
Don't put all your Don't put all your.
I have like a second trade in mind.
Yeah, because Ted Turner. I mean, I'm Ted Turner. You're Buff Bagwell. You work for Ted Turner. I mean, what can go wrong? And it did. So, and I put all my eggs in one basket. So, long story short, just have another door would be my advice.
Well, thanks for that. The second question I have was passed on from a friend of mine under the name B-Boy Howie. He wanted to know about how was Scott Steiner as a character, well, as a person.
Oh,
that is.
Scott Steiner was great. He helped me, and I helped him. I feel like we were great for each other. We were two of the better bodies back then.
Yeah.
And it just seemed all, work out with the Big Papa Pump, and he had his little saying, and I broke my neck, and then I was his manager. So it just all worked out, and then they made it into an angle, and then they split us apart. But we're good. We're very good friends. We live 10 minutes apart. And Rick and Scott live all close together, and we still talk, randomly and stuff. So yeah, but he was great. He was stiff.
Thanks
he was
for
very stiff.
answering the
He was
question.
very stiff, but he was also a very good guy.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Well, thank you for answering my questions, and it was nice talking to you.
No problem, brother. Good luck.
All right, WGS Radio listeners, if you want to get in and ask a question to Mr. Buff Bagwell here, you know the way to do it is to call in to 914-803-4615. That's 914-803-4615. Before we get to the next caller here, Mr. Bagwell, I wanted to ask you, to take you back to the inception of the New World Order storyline in WCW, and give us what your reaction, what your thoughts first saw the storyline, going into action to the time where you actually became Buff Bagwell.
Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't create Buff Bagwell. I knew I needed to create something. There was The Rock. There was Stone Cold. There were, there was names. There were gimmicks happening, and Marcus Alexander Bagwell just, had pretty much gone as far as he could have gone, even though, it's hard to get over as your regular real name, but I did. But I knew I needed another name of some sort, and that was about the same time that George Clooney came out with the Caesar cut, and so I did totally opposite. I cut my hair and like Clooney, and which shocked everybody, and then turned bad, which shocked everybody, and which at the NWO was just NWO is one of the best things ever. But the problem with one of the best things ever is just like the football going through what's going through right now with the lockdown. I mean, it's just good things do come to an end, and unless you know how to run it, and we just watered it down. There were just too many guys, and then we knew that, and we started taking the guys away, and then attitudes and egos kicked in, of course, and then flush.
Yeah. Which at the time, if you remember correctly, you had Marcus Alexander Bagwell, who was a great babyface at the time. He He was pretty. You had all the girls in the audience get wet in their panties for him, and then all of a sudden, you had this complete and opposite character change from Marcus Alexander Bagwell to Buff Bagwell with the short hair and the hair.
That's exactly,
and the body, and then they got even more wet in their panties for him, and then he had the bad boy persona on top of it, and it was
pulled the guys
money.
It was pulled the guys in too. So that way, before when Marcus Alexander Bagwell came out, I got booed, and the girls were cheering and the guys were kind of booing. I needed to find a character that the guys would think, he's cool, he's cool, and the girls would also still get their little pennies wet.
Exactly.
And so
overnight.
And so I found that, and it was an airplane ride home, and it was who's one of the main referees for WWE?
Earl Hebner?
He's dead.
No.
Scott
Armstrong.
Who?
Scott Armstrong.
Nick Patrick.
Nick Patrick.
Nick Patrick is actually the person. We were all in first class trying to think of a name for me and knocking this around, and he said Buff, and there was not another choice. Everybody went, that's it, Buff Bagwell. I got straight home and airbrushed everything, Buff, my car, my house, everything.
Well,
and there he went.
Well, Mr. Bagwell, the next person on the line is waiting to talk to you. He is the #1 paranormal investigator here on WGS Radio. It's Andy. Andy, you're on the line with Mr. Buff Bagwell.
Hi, Marcus. Hope you're well. It's Andy here in the UK. Just a couple of questions. One, what is your honest opinion? Why does Vince take people, going back now from your WCW days, why does Vince seem to take people from other companies and ruin their career like he did with yours?
I don't know. My honest answer is I don't know. I can tell you we've talked about it a whole lot in locker rooms, but we just never could understand. He would always take guys that we couldn't do nothing with and make them into stars, like Kevin Nash, like Stunning Steve Austin. We had all those guys, and he got off on bringing guys from the WCW and making them bigger stars to rub it in their face, and we tried to do the same thing, but it just didn't quite work. But finally, at the end, when the NWO and everything happened, then the WWE did come here, WWF, excuse me, they came here and started the NWO and Outsiders and all that, and so it was just, that's just the way it went down.
And I was recently watching one of your RF Shoot interviews. I don't know if you can remember when you did one of the RF Shoot interviews, but you basically said on one of the interviews that unless you were actually in the locker room on the night that Nitro closed its doors and the WWF took over, you wouldn't know what the atmosphere was actually like. Would you like to go into any kind of detail, as you didn't do on the video, for the fans who are interested to know basically what it was like in the locker room?
I'll tell you exactly. It was about $10 million was walking up to go to work. Me, Goldberg, Harlem Heat, the Steiners. We all just were kind of just, we were Panama City. And as we were rolling our bags up, we started seeing WWF trucks and people crying. And we went, uh-oh. So we just all split off to find out what was going on for our own, because that's how wrestling is. Everybody's out for themselves. And I was like, what the heck's going on here? So, I mean, people were taking pictures with the original Four Horsemen and the belts and all that. It was brutal. It was real brutal, you know. And then I'm driving home, and I'm actually crying. And my wife at the time was she was asleep, and I was just crying, driving, not squalling, but just tearing up a little bit and driving home. And And my phone rang, and my dad said, where you at? I said, I'm dropping home. He said, well, they just mentioned your name on television. I said, what? He said, they picked 5 names out, and you were one of the 5. And I was like, you're kidding. He goes, no. And my phone started ringing with other people like Sting and Luger saying, if Vince says your name, you're good to go. I was there a month and fired. And did nothing wrong in a month.
Do you basically feel that with Vince, if your face fits, it fits, and if it doesn't, if he thinks you're going to cause him a problem, you've gone? Because
that's what it was. It was. I was. I mean, come on, let's just face it. I mean, you can hate me for saying this. You can love me for saying it. I don't really care. But when you put somebody that's a good wrestler and tells the truth and also has a good look about them, they're going to have heat. When Marcus Alexander Bagwell would say those kind of things, everybody laughed and thought I was the funniest person in the world. When Buff Bagwell said it, then it was, ooh. So it was that kind of an atmosphere, and it just, I don't know, man. It just, I wasn't causing any problems in the locker room at all whatsoever. I'd leave the locker room, my hat would be crushed in, and I'd fix it. Didn't say a word. Didn't say one word. I fixed it, my hat, and everything. A few minutes later, I needed to go get the, Coke or something, Diet Coke or something to eat or something, and I'd go back out, come back in, my hat was crushed again. So I fixed it again, and about 30 minutes later, I needed to leave, so I just turned around and crushed the hat myself. When I got back, the hat was fixed. That's the way. It's just brutal, man. It's very hard. It's very tough. It's it's not a. If you're a mama's boy, it ain't gonna last, and you got to be tough and take it with with a grain of salt, and I did, and that's why I survived as long as I did. I mean, people would come back to WCW and go, Bagwell, you're still here? And I was like, yeah, brother, I'm still here, I mean, there's only 2 people that were at WCW the longest without leaving and consecutively, and that was me and Sting. He was there for 12, and I was there for 11. So it was just, we saw it all, and it's just a sad thing that it was gone. But AOL is the entire problem. When Ted Turner merged with AOL Time Warner, they didn't want wrestling for some reason. Even though our ratings, we were doing 6s every single Mondays, which is a very high rating. Every single Monday, that's, for example, the Super Bowl is like a 20-24. That's once a year. We were doing 6s every Monday and every Thursday also. So they just waited for our ratings to dip a little bit, and we were gone. And
just one final question.
I'll say this to you real quick, Andy, before you ask the question. And I'm sure Buff will can agree with this, but Vince likes guys, and I can say this because I don't work for Vince, and I probably won't ever, but Vince likes guys that will either conform 150%, not 100%, but 150%, or guys that will completely tuck their tail between their legs for him. And anyone that would
I do agree with that. We had a meeting one day, and the only time we ever had a meeting with the first 12 guys Vince hired. I don't know all 12, but the top 3 stars were Booker, me, and Dallas, and Jindrak and some of the younger guys that were coming up too. But the first 12 he took from WCW to go to their school, to their up in Connecticut. I found out right there was going to be very clicky, a lot more than us. We got a paycheck every 2 weeks if there was 20 people or 20,000. They got paid on how many people came to the show. So if you are the main event of a show for Vince and the first match didn't do well, that main event goes to the first match and says, "Hey man, look, you gotta pick it up or you gone. You're messing my paycheck up." So where we were, we got paid, period. So it was a totally different pay scale, which changed for totally different companies, which is why they're still alive and we're gone. But that was but the AOL Time Warner thing, they just didn't want wrestling.
Yeah, but I think that's a bad mistake on their part. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I think it's a horrible mistake. I mean, when I was fired, when WCW was gone, I said, oh man, there'll be another wrestling company in 2 weeks. Well, I was a little wrong with that one.
I mean,
missed that one a touch.
What I say about that is, go ahead, Buff. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying the thing about that is, it's like, everybody else thought there'd be something else too, and there was. I mean, and I was there. There was the XWF, and it came out strong with the Road Warriors and me and Mr. Perfect and Sting and Johnny B. Bad and everybody. I mean, all the stars were there. Raven. I mean, everybody. I mean, all the big stars were there, and it fumbled. And then it went away, and that was ran by the Nasty Boys, if that tells you anything. Then there was another one that was in Australia that I went to, that a guy named Andrew McManus would fly us over to Australia. We wrestled there for about a year, off and on, and got paid very well. And after that, I don't know, it became all complete, just straight up independent, who's got it, who don't have it, who can draw a rating, who can sell tickets, and who returns phone calls, and who shows up in shape, who shows up with the right outfit, who shows up on time, and I did that, so I stayed very busy and made a living in the independent world. But it wasn't something I wanted to do. It was a little bit rough, but it was either to go work for a boss and get paid $100,000, or be my own boss and make $250. So it pretty much was a no-brainer. And I just now I'm 41 though, and pretty beat up, and I'm still in good shape, of course. And I was dumb enough to call myself Buff Bagwell. I couldn't take a Twinkie Bud or something like that. It would have been a lot better. But I had to come up with Buff. Oh, no, you're Buff. That's smart. So, anyway, when all that happened, it just kind of all went away, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, to our friend Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, right? Kevin?
Yeah. That's
Kevin. So with that being said, listening to Buff and listening to the other comments that are being made, unless you're willing to bend over and literally suck your own dick,
yes,
have a backup plan. Unless you're able to bend over and suck your own dick.
The talk I never got out was Vince said, it was one of the best talks ever. I was very comfortable after this talk. He said, hey, to the 12 guys, he said, I want you to do what you do. And it was a trick question, and I didn't know that. He said, we want you to, we don't want fake people here. We're not fake. We're real. And we just want you to, do what you do like you did at WCW. And so as soon as that happened, we leave that meeting, and all of the guys go to the ring before the show, and they practice. That was a thing that you bend over, and like you just said, and we just didn't do that. We were backstage playing cards, and when our music played, we came out and stole the show. I didn't need to feel the ropes or feel the ring to know how my match was going to go. Now, if it was a certain crazy move we were trying or something, we'd go out there and talk about it a little bit. But I didn't go out the arena until the arena was full. And but so I remember sitting in the stands, and 11 guys were in the ring practicing. I'm number 12 sitting in the stands. I got two choices. I can go down there and all 11 guys know I'm lying because Vince just said, do what you do, how you really are. Or I can do what Vince said, my boss that pays my bills, and sit in the stands until it's time to wrestle.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where my first heat. I think that's where my first heat started, and from that point on, it was just downhill.
Yeah. Is it all right if I ask Mr. Bagwell one more question? I can completely contest
to that. I mean, I've had 3 WWE tryouts myself, and I see guys like, the top guys that are there, before the show. They're in the ring and they're practicing and
oh yeah, that's that bend over thing you're talking about. But see, we never did that. I mean, can you imagine seeing Sting running the ropes before an event, or Lex Luger out there stretching and putting his knee pads on before, or Hulk Hogan? We just didn't do that. We just and we came out and stole the show, brother. That's how it was.
Yeah.
We didn't have to stretch and put our knee pads on and make sure we hit the ropes right, and we didn't do that. So that's just kissing butt is what they were doing, and we just did what we did. And that's not how they did it, though. So I think that caused me a lot of heat that day. I don't regret it because I did what Vince told me to do. He told us to do what we do. And so there's no regrets, but at the same time, I do think that started my downfall.
Gotcha.
Mr. Bagwell, was this the music you were referring to? One of my personal favorite ones.
When you heard that song come on, brother, you knew it was on, brother.
You knew what time it was.
You knew what time it was, baby.
All right, WGS Radio listeners, again, the number to call in is to 914-803-4615. That's 914-803-4615. Of course, if you're logged in right now to blogtalkradio.com, you can call us in via Skype. And right now we do have a new caller via Skype. It is Skype user Bob Juan John. Bob Juan John, welcome to the show. You're on the line with Mr. Buff Bagwell.
Oh, thank you very much. And Mr. Bagwell, I have to say I respect your career quite a bit.
Shit.
And, you're one of the greatest in-ring entertainers and man on the mic and very respected athlete. But I guess my question is, what the hell is up with that hat? Did you have rabbits in that or a bunch of tuna fish sandwiches and a 6-pack of Coca-Cola?
What the shit?
That's a great question.
Oh, Lord.
It's a very great question.
I know who that is.
Let me ask you this.
Tricks are for kids.
How many top hats you ever seen in pro wrestling?
Well, that's it right there.
Let me answer with this. And when you figure that out, you figure out a hat, baby.
Oh, I did have one more question, if that's okay. Did you know Nick Bondage?
Please make it smarter than that one.
No, did you know Nick Bondage had sex with ODB? My God, the man's a whore. Keep him out of your house and away from your sister.
What now?
You'll have to ask Nick, but just keep him away from your sister because he's a big whore and he had sex with ODB.
Who did?
Nick Bondage.
Nick Bondage.
Who?
Nick Bondage, myself, brother.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't care. I love it.
You know, that's funny because I was actually going to tell this road story tonight. It was at a show that you and I were at, actually, in Natchez, Mississippi.
Why did you not call me?
Ah! Wait. You were rooming
I
with
must have
Eric
been with
Watts.
somebody else.
Yeah, you were rooming with Eric Watts that night. And
I
we were
was
in
rooming with
Natchez,
Eric Watts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you roomed with Eric Watts that night in Natchez, Mississippi. Let me take you back in the Wayback Machine here, Mr. Peabody. I was actually going to save this road story for later, but I'll go ahead and tell it now. Well, I got you on the line because we did a big show in Natchez, Mississippi, where, of course...
Now, let me get this straight. Is it in Natchez?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Natchez, Mississippi. We had Lex Luger on the card, Buddy Landell.
Baby, I'm the one that drove Lex there. I know the whole card. Go ahead.
Oh, I was there working that night. Now,
great.
You got Marcus Alexander Bagwell, Eric Watts, and staying in the room together. Now, this is the same night where me, ODB, and D'Lo Brown was at a bar that night that the sponsors had paid for and was playing poker.
Right.
Now, earlier that night, X-Pac and Buddy Landell, I think, got shit-faced drunk. And doing something.
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Liar.
No, I'm serious. So, I'm in the room doing my business. This was the same night of the ODB incident.
Well, that didn't take long.
Now, I got Buff Bagwell knocking on my door probably 20 times that night. As I'm trying to get my business going on with ODB, knocking on the door.
Unless you had something in there I wanted, it wasn't her. You're lying, and I don't use that word lie much. If there was something in that room I wanted or I needed, or I wouldn't have knocked on nothing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ODB, and it wasn't you.
2 o'clock, 2:15, 2:30, 3 o'clock. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, leave me alone.
If you can come up with one answer of what I asked for, I'll give you $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, good luck, because they didn't have it, baby.
It had a 10.
No biggie. But like I said, it was a crazy world, that independent world.
It was a great trip. It was a
that was a good trip.
deal.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That guy got paid, and
it was a 3-show deal that we did, and it was a great trip. And I actually ended up refereeing your match that night with Disco Inferno. Yeah, you did the whole Boo thing.
Disco drove with me too.
Yeah, and it was a great trip, and I feel so fortunate because I got a chance to talk with you, and we hung out.
Oh, good, man, good. I'm glad.
It was a great trip, and that was my funny road story.
That was a good trip. I remember that because I drove a big white, nice SUV and all that stuff. My brothers had let me. They ran Bill Hurd Chevrolet when Bill Hurd was still around, and so we rented that car and took off, and it was me, Lex, Shady, that blonde, that guy.
Shady, yeah.
Shady and Disco, and we did the whole trip.
Is he still an agent?
I have no idea.
What's that?
Well,
I have no idea.
No? Okay.
Nick, I only have one thing to say. Going down on ODB must be like staring into a portal into another dimension, as I say that.
I hear it's like throwing a hot dog.
If you went down on ODB, you saw a pair of sneakers.
You know, it's funny because that was the night that I found out, because I'm gonna let you guys in on a little tidbit secret in the business, but all the girls that show up at the show, and hang around locker rooms and backstage for us, or we like to call wrestling rats. I found out that night, I asked her point blank, I said, you know, we guys in the business, we have our rats, and, you know, they come to the shows and everything. I was like, what do you girls have? And she told me, she says, we call them kangaroos.
Kangaroos?
Kangaroos, because they're so excited the fact that they get together with a female celebrity that they literally hop on them and hop off.
I love it.
I would make an indecent comment about that, but I'm going to keep my comments to myself as I go to... We need to go back to Andy here. Oh, God, Mick. Anyway, Andy's got another question for you, Mr. Bagwell.
All right.
Hi again, Marcus. Out of every match that you've had that's been televised that we could probably go and dig our collection out, which one would you say was the highlight of your career? If you had to pick one match.
I got asked that a little earlier, and that's just impossible, man. You got to realize 22 years of wrestling the top talent of wrestlers, from Macho Man's to Hulk Hogan's to Ric Flair's to... I remember the night I beat Ric Flair and got back to the dressing room. I just did what I was told, and Lex Luger was shaking his head, and I said, what? He goes, I just want to tell you congratulations. I said, for what? He goes, for being able to do something I haven't done in 11 years.
Wow.
Lex Luger never beat Ric Flair.
Wow.
Yeah, Rick didn't lay down much.
Wow.
Only for the ladies.
That was...
Who would be the stiffest guy you've ever been with?
That would still be like a couple. Chris Benoit, God rest his soul, and Rick Rude, God rest his soul. I wrestled 43 dead guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
43, brother. I can name them.
That is
nuts. I mean, just give you a few: Bam Bam Bigelow, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. I mean, just Brian Adams, Macho Man.
Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert.
Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. I mean, it just goes on and on. It's 43. And so it's getting ready to rain. It's getting ready to have a thunderstorm here. My dogs are going to freak. So let's get to the
Well, we also have another person here on the line. He is the host of Rockin' Waves 11294 on Blog TV. His name is Chris Rogers. Chris, you're on the line with Buff Bagwell.
Hello, Mr. Bagwell. How are you this evening?
Hey, Chris. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I have a question here. How did you feel about XWF, and if it still existed, would you go back to it?
Absolutely, and I felt great about it. It was Jimmy Hart had his hands on it, and it was fantastic. But the problem was, you know, the Nasty Boys, they were party boys, and they were wrestlers, and it needed a chief. And as WCW was famous for, we had too many chiefs and not enough Indians. But there's just too many people trying to tell you what to do, and then and up there where Vince is, there's one chief, and it's Vince. And so, you know, and that's what we needed also, and we never had that. We never had that.
All right, well, thank you very much, and hope you have a great night. And if you're ever in Georgia, I'll look you up.
Okay, brother, do that, man, and go to check my website out. It's therealbuff.com. Therealbuff.com. A little free plug there. Check it out.
All right, Mr. Bagwell. Sorry about that, Mr. Bagwell. We have a couple of more people here on the line. I want to ask you a question. First off, we would call him the Al Snowmark of WGS Radio, simply known as Hitman. Hitman, you're on the line with Buff Bagwell, and remember, no marking out.
Hey, Mr. Bagwell. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
My question to you would be, is there anybody you would have liked to work with in a match?
I work everybody. And no, there's not one person that I didn't work that I didn't. So at least I don't remember anybody. Pretty much I wrestled everybody except everybody at the radio stations. No, but yeah, I really had a great career, very luxurious. I mean, very lucky, and just it all worked out, and very lucky. And I always say it like this: I dodged 1,000 bullets, but then one finally got me. When you survive 5 bosses, and all that stuff, man, you dodge a lot of bullets.
Wow.
And you eventually going to make somebody mad, but I kept not making nobody mad. And then finally, I must have made somebody mad, and it was time to go.
Now, Buff, I have this one quick question for you. Now, I know that the WWE Hall of Fame, of course, is a farce. I mean, I speak as a worker. It's a complete farce. But do you hope in one day?
If they asked me, I'd say no.
You'd say no. Okay.
I'd say no.
Question answered.
Just to be totally honest, and I'm not saying that because I know they won't. I do know they won't. But let's say I knew they were, I would still say no. I would never want to be in the WWF or WWE Hall of Fame. Not for how I was treated, and I really wasn't part of that company. I'm not saying that meanly or negatively. I'm saying that honestly. There was a WCW, and I wasn't in that Hall of Fame, and there happens to be one. I'd probably be a little upset about that. But as far as WWE goes, I wasn't part of that, and so I wouldn't want to be part of the Hall of Fame of it.
Well,
it'd be like it'd be like I'm in the Hall of Fame. Who cares?
Yeah.
Well, you do have a point. Yeah. Hall of Fame doesn't pay the bill, as probably a lot of people would
is
say.
Your power on, and then what kind of car do you drive?
Station wagon. Anyway.
Exactly, and your power's off, and we're eating tuna.
Yeah. We have another guy here on the line that's waiting to talk to you. He's our resident heel of WGS Radio.
Let's make this the last one, baby. I got to roll, okay?
All right, he's our resident heel of WGS Radio. He is known as Nathan. Nathan, you're on the line with Buff Bagwell. And Nathan...
Crickets chirping. It's a popcorn match.
Well,
Can I ask something?
Well, let's go to Ashley here. Ashley,
all right.
Ashley, you're on the line with Buff Bagwell.
Oh, okay. You turn to me as a replacement when I don't have any questions fully lined up because everybody's asked them. But I think it's. Did you unmute Nathan?
Can you say that in English?
Well, we do have UK listeners.
I think we got some technical.
If you can revise that in English, I may be able to answer it for you.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
On now.
I don't know what happened there.
That was the part where you go into your NWO song. Bow, 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 bow. I just have two questions.
There you go. He said it on radio right there, baby.
My first question for you would be, as well as making you, I kind of get the feeling that with NWO getting so big, you seem to have gotten buried in it. Do you have the feeling that mixed along with your broken neck that you suffered from Rick Steiner, do you think that kind of hurt your career? Because
100%. I broke my neck at the absolute wrong time. I broke my neck right when it was rolling, and I was still able to come back, and and I was back on TV in 3 months, and I was back wrestling in 10. But still, when you're talking about every week wrestling, that's 10 long months, man.
Yeah.
And I still was able to have a hell of a career, but it did definitely put me, 10 steps behind the other stars.
Yeah.
Anytime you're on the shelf, whether it's a month or 3 months.
I was hoping for one sign or on anything. Every time they showed it, I'm sitting at home with a neck brace on, and so just bad timing, man.
Yeah, and
I speak from experience myself because I've broken my neck as well in the ring. And
where are you fused?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I said, where are you fused at?
No, I didn't get fused. I actually ended up rehabbing it myself and didn't have any kind of surgery whatsoever.
Wow, congratulations. No pain?
Yeah. No, I ignore it. I have two compressed vertebrae in my neck, and I've managed to continue on after that. Of course, power bombs are out of the question. But
sure. There's moves that I don't do either, but I'm used to 3, 4, and 6, 7. But I had to because literally if I'd have got pushed or anything, even fallen, it could have it would have severed. I actually medically did not break my neck. I medically bruised my spinal cord.
Ooh.
Now the bones I did break the vertebrae around them, but not really. It was more the bruising that caused the paralyzation in the ring and all that stuff, and they had to remove that and put my hip in place of that at 3, 4, and 6, 7. So I have 8 screws and 2 titanium plates.
I'll tell you what I did rely mostly on was spinal manipulation therapy.
Well, I thought you were going to say Vicodin and Soma.
I did a whole lot of spinal manipulation therapy.
If you were wrestling every Monday, you'd have changed that to Vicodin and Soma and a case of beer.
And Viagra.
Oh God.
Well, Viagra don't mess with that, so
it will make you look more attractive to the divas.
Have you seen my tights?
Oh God.
And
all right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night, man. I enjoyed the show, and you guys have fun.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Buff Bagwell.
Hit the music. I'm Buff.
Wow, what a great interview, huh, guys?
Yes.
I'm Buff on the stuff and the girl. Just can't get enough.
Yes, it was. What did you guys think of the interview tonight?
It was good.
Awesome.
Very good.
It was.
It's a shame the road story got so long because I think we had quite a few other people that didn't get a chance to ask questions, so we'll have to book him for later on this year.
Yeah, we did.
We're already in later 2011.
Sorry, I kind of dominated that, y'all. I mean, but
No worries,
it's okay.
I felt that we got underneath the toenail of the wrestling business.
Yeah.
I think that's what we needed.
We got into your deep secrets as well. The OGB story finally got over.
we went from toenail to hangnail on that one.
Yeah, I think. And
it was funny because I was going to wait till after Buff was done, and I was going to reveal that story that he was actually a big part of that, and why the ODB thing ended up happening that night, and the fact that him and Eric Watts shared a room that night, and he was knocking on my door every 20 minutes because I had a bottle of Vicodin with me, which I'm very pain pill scared. I'm scared to get on the pain pill railroad, and he found out I had a bottle of pain pills on me. So he's knocking on my door every 20 minutes asking me for another pain pill while I'm trying to get my business on with ODB.
Oh, God.
So luckily, that ended up kind of killing the mood, so I was able to last longer. So I made a probably lasting impression with her, because she was thinking probably in her mind, hey, this guy can go for a couple of hours,
Wow.
There goes my drink through my nose. Thank you.
We've also got a message from the chat room. Bob says if Mr. Bagwell's buffing stuff, does that make you Billy puffing stuff?
Thank you very much, Rev.
Who's Rev?
Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short time out. When we come back, we're going to find out exactly who are Money in the Bank for Raw and SmackDown. And is John Cena still WWE champion? Or are we just flat out broke without a champion in the WWE? Find out when we come back to WGS Radio.
Sweet fight. That may be the biggest anticlimax ever.
This is Scott Phoenix, and you're listening to WGS Radio, Blog Talk Radio.
That I got rug burn on my penis.
After what happened to his uncle Eddie Guerrero back in November.
While at a nature's preserve, beware of the granny waft.
I don't combine my liquor, or else I get a, bad case of Montezuma's revenge.
And that's why we call it Wrestling Talk with an Edge. It's The Rant, live every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern on Blog Talk Radio and Go Fight Live.
Diarrhea.
This is Team Gooch, and we're in WGS, the best running wrestling and gaming radio show ever. Only on Blog Talk Radio. And if you don't like anything we say or do, 1, we respect your opinion. 2, fuck you.
This year, you'll hear artists like these on Rock and Waves 11-2-94. Don Henley. Reed and Frost. The Rolling Stones. Frank Zappa.
Hey there, people, I'm Bobby Brown. They say I'm the cutest boy in town.
Yours truly, Fenwick Mouse. The hits old and new are being played all throughout 2011 on Rock and Waves 11-2-94. Listen online every Friday from 1 to 5. Every Saturday from 10 p.m. until the party ends. Go to blogtv.com/people/Quickmaster1 to listen in on all the hilarity.
No mice were harmed in the making of that promo.
And we thank God for that. Otherwise...
Big 3 News. Visit us on the web at big3news.net and big3news.com. To contact us during the show, use the interactive chat window or call us on Skype at 440-249-6397. That's 440-249-NEWS. Skype users use the Skype ID of Big 3 News. To make your own contribution to the show, email Big 3 News at info@big3news.net. To stay connected with us after the show, be sure to download our community toolbar and get access to all of our social links like Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, and YouTube. Thanks for watching, and thanks for contributing to Big 3 News.
Hi, I'm Fenwick Mouse, and you're listening to... Fuck. Hi, this is Fenwick Mouse, and you're listening to WrestleDOWN, the discussion on Wrestling Now. Dick, and I love to sell crack to my homies. So
Give
keep
Billy a
listening to
prostate
WrestleDOWN
exam.
and get down with WrestleDOWN. And by the way, I love my crack.
Yes, he does.
That mouse is swearing so much I think he's got Tourette's.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news here on WGS Radio. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend not going down on ODB.
You trying to say I got a fucked up grill?
Bada bing, bada boom.
If you guys ever get an opportunity to read the Nick Bondage Chronicles,
I am the Rock, and you're listening
it'll
to
be in chapter 2.
Radio Blog Talk Radio.
Ought to be in chapter 69.
Very bad, Billy.
Welcome back to WrestleDOWN, the discussion of wrestling now here on WGS Radio. I'm W. Billy Boudreaux, and I get the bad feeling that come July 23rd, I'm going to die.
You are going to die. And I'm going to say this, and I know we have promised it, and I know we have talked about it till the cows come home, but July the 23rd,
somebody Skype went on hold.
Now I'm trying to work out who it is.
What is that?
Whoever's doing that gay music you shout.
I don't know. Somebody went on hold on Skype, and now we got music. Down.
Oh,
it was Hitman.
Thank you. So, come July 23rd, what has been promised, what has been talked about, and what has been declared will come to pass. You will see Billy Boudreaux.
Hey man, hang on, it wasn't. Dandy.
Okay.
You
will see.
Andy got so disturbed by that chapter stuff. So go ahead.
It's like it sets the ambiance for it, you know.
Nick Bondage promo 9.
Anyway, you're going to see what's been promised come to pass.
Well, right now, before we go any further, we have a new caller here from the 225 area code. Who am I speaking with?
Grizz, how you doing? Billy,
Grizz, how you doing, man? Grizz, you know what? You just missed out, man. Buff Bagwell just left a few minutes ago here on WGS Radio.
I know, man. I was listening, but I'm just getting off of work.
That's cool here. Well,
Grizz, I thought you said you'd never call in when Billy was hosting.
I called in because...
Grizz, I need you to call me.
Did you hear me, Nick?
I need you to call me.
Okay.
ASAP.
Okay, no problem.
All right, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to take a look.
Money, 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 money.
Yep.
Get rid of that shit. Get rid of that shit.
All right. It's time for Ashley's review.
That is not our thing. Correct.
Ashley, please.
Here we go. That's the money talk.
Can you make me into here now?
All right, now it's time to go to Ashley with his review of WWE's Money in the Bank 2011 pay-per-view.
So, we start off with the SmackDown Money in the Bank match, which was a very strong opener, which you'd expect, because it's a Money in the Bank ladder match, and normally they're known to be good. Some very interesting spots with this one, because it started off with basically the big guys fought in the ring to start off with, but it eventually came out to the general spots that you expect from the matches. Sin Cara, though, did get pretty messed up, given a power slam off the turnbuckle through a ladder. Yeah, and then he went off stretcher because he was, in huge quotation marks, injured. But of course, in news this week, related to that, Sin Cara was actually tested for steroids and suspended. Well, actually, he got tested positive last month, but it's only been made official as of last Sunday. So I guess we'll see more of him in a month, possibly. But anyway, he got taken out, so then we were down to 7, and you know the suspects were there, like Cody and Kane and Wade and Sheamus. They're all there, and then all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, spring a huge surprise. The guy who this time last year was fired from WWE is your new Money in the Bank for SmackDown. Daniel Bryan gets the briefcase, and Daniel Bryan makes some interesting comments. You know, I'm not going to say any further, but some interesting comments are made by Daniel on this Friday SmackDown. Must watch if you're a Daniel Bryan fan. Anyway, second match we had was Big Show taking on Sheamus. Not Sheamus, Mark Henry. How complete?
Wait, hold on. What happened to Kelly and Brie Bella? Was that second or was that third?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was second.
Oh, it was Kelly Brie Bella. That's how memorable that match was. It wasn't that bad a match. It actually went on for longer than 5 minutes, I believe, which was a surprise. But overall, Kelly came out in the end. To be honest, I didn't think that match was worked out right. Because if I was doing it, I would have done it in a way so that...
Actually, if you were doing them, you wouldn't be here right now.
No, I'd have written the match in the style of it was actually Nikki Bella wrestling, not Brie. And it's like, okay, I wanted it to be is she gets the win, and it's like, hang on, that's my twin sister. You actually haven't beaten me for the title yet. And then you'd have just had Kelly win anyway over the second time. That match, it actually went on for 4 minutes 54, so not 5 minutes, but longer than matches normally do on TV anyway. Next up, we actually had Big Show versus Mark Henry. I'll get his name right this time in case he tries to smack me around the head, because Mark Henry probably will, because as he always says, somebody likes to get their ass kicked. Not his, obviously. Pretty decent match, kind of showed the big wrestling styles that they have. You're limited to what you can do. It's really just power stuff. Mark Henry got the victory in the end of the World's Strongest Slam. But then afterwards, went part Edge.
Whoa.
Mark Henry went part Edge, part Vader.
Oh yeah, that was me flushing the toilet.
He put a chair over Big Show's injured leg, injured from Alberto Del Cuifo. I say it again, Alberto Del Cuifo. I'll say it one more time, Alberto Del Cuifo. But he put the chair around Big Show's injured leg, then got on the turnbuckle and did the Vader kind of splash on the chair, which, according to the WWE.com, has injured his fibula in his leg, and he'll be out for a couple of months getting that healed. Obviously, I don't think he's actually injured, but we'll see. Yeah. Right. Next, more important.
Came back from a broken neck.
Yeah. Next, more important, a match that actually matters: Raw's Money in the Bank, which was a very weird match at the start because they all grabbed a ladder, whether it be a tiny hornswoggle one or a standard size one. And they started beating. It was like they all had lightsabers, and they just started smashing themselves out with lightsabers, with ladders. God damn it! I shouldn't have done that comparison. But very good. Some very good spots as well. Evan Bourne jumping off the very high ladder that was on the ramp outside. There was some other bits as well. There was about 4 or 5 ladders all stacked up. And
I think all 7 of the wrestlers, bar The Miz, who... oh, that was a nasty bit with The Miz. I think The Miz was hanging from the briefcase and he fell down, and he did a very good job of making it look like he got his leg screwed up, to be honest. That was a very nice move, because certainly Andy, who was watching it, and most of the guys with me were like, that looks real, but from what I've heard, it isn't. It's very well, you know, perhaps he was overselling it a bit. Some people can work out that he's, you know, it's not real. But the ending spot was very good. It was Del Rio versus Mysterio in the middle of the ladder. And battling away, and the briefcase was spinning around, and then Del Quifo manages to grab Mysterio's mask and pull it off. So then obviously Mysterio's like, I'm not showing my face, because that's against the Lucha way, even though he lost his mask in WCW. Just saying. But then when he did that, because the ladders were tilting, Rey Mysterio fell off on his ladder, which knocked into Del Rio. So it was like a tree falling. It was like the smallest or the longest time that it took for a ladder to fall. So it was like, and he was like there going, I'm not actually going to finish this spot like we intended. And then he kept going and then slam on the floor. So then Del Quifo picked the ladder back up, put it there, kind of like what happened when it screwed up with Hardy and Anderson back in February in TNA. But anyway, Del Rio goes up, because that's the, you know, Mr. There was a Mexican name for it, but the new Mr. Money in the Bank for Raw is Alberto Del Quifo. I'll say it again, Alberto Del Quifo. I'll say it one more time. No, I won't. Billy, you say. Alberto Del Quifo. And it's like Senor De Niro something. I'm not really sure.
Senor De Niro de Banco? Something like that. I know Banco is Mexican, because I know that from Western movies. Banco.
Just don't rhyme it with taco.
Gruffalo.
That's wacko.
Because you're on the cracko. Well, we're rapidly losing control of the show.
Yeah. Next, the first of your 2 title matches, which was Randy Orton defending his title against Christian. This was a good match, because it played on, you know, the wrestling skill of both of them, and eventually got to, I think it was an RKO. It wasn't an RKO. What was that move that Orton did? It wasn't. It was like an RKO, but it was more like a suplex. It looked
the
like
Falcon's arrow?
It was face down.
The Falcon's arrow. The Falcon's. It was either the Falcon's arrow or the Gourd Buster.
Yeah, I don't know which one it was, but one of those two. But he did that, and I think it was an attempted RKO, and Christian was in the corner, and Christian did the biggest loogie I've seen in quite a while. Nearly as big as the loogie that went on Foley's face after he walked out on Orton 6 years ago or 7 years ago or whatever. But anyway, then Orton was just like, okay, this is not it, and just beat the crap out of him. And then, right in front of the referee, despite the, you know, the stipulations, kicking the family jewels, Orton gets disqualified, and because of that, Christian is your new World Heavyweight Champion. Which pisses off Orton even more. So he goes for an RKO through the Spanish announce table. Oh my God! Normally, when you see the Spanish announce table like we did at the start, everyone was saying, that's going. But it's like the table was self-aware. Because Orton goes for the RKO, boom, table doesn't break. Orton is just pissed, possibly because the table didn't go, and also because his comments about Kelly made him lose the title. He goes up the ramp, and then he thinks, no, we're actually going to try and do that spot again. So he walks back down, goes for a second RKO through the table, and once again... So in that time, they just go... My God! That time, they just go, sod it. You know, let's just walk Orton out and let Christian walk out. Now, most people were thinking, right, Brian,
Christian is been smacked the hell out of by Orton. Cash in your briefcase. And then, of course, he didn't, and the Chicago crowd were just booing like crazy. They were absolutely pissed. But, anyway, we come to our final match, which was the big one. CM Punk taking on John Cena for the WWE Championship, and, to be honest, for WWE itself. This was one of the best matches I've seen from WWE this year, certainly. The only one that's probably been best since then has possibly been the two Undertaker-Shawn Michaels matches at WrestleMania 25 and 26. You know, there was so much nice spots and good ring work. It was, and you know, Colt Cabana in the crowd and CM Punk going to Colt Cabana and hand slapping and stuff. The end itself was controversial as well. We nearly had a Chicago screw job. Cena got CM Punk in the STF. Laurinaitis and McMahon were at ringside, and McMahon said, "Ring the bell." Laurinaitis was going over. Cena clocked one on Laurinaitis and basically said, "You know, I'm not going to win that way. I'm not going to go dirty." CM Punk grabs him, goes for the GTS, hits it. 1, 2, 3. CM Punk is WWE champion. And then this is a really sweet move. Punk grabs the belt, goes over the barricade into the crowd, and just blows Vince McMahon a kiss, and just walks into the crowd, and the pay-per-view fades to black. And that concludes possibly the best overall pay-per-view WWE's put on in at least 5 years, I'd say. And ladies and gentlemen,
incredible.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Studley Men's review of the Money in the Bank review, brought to you by the WGS Store.
Hi, I am the Iron Reverend Jake Slayer, and I am telling you that you better get your lazy, inbred, corn-fed, shithead, goat-blowing asses over to CafePress.com/WrestleGamers and buy something from our store. I don't care if you buy a t-shirt, a throw pillow, or a damn coffee mug. Hell, buy one of our overpriced video cams. Just buy something so I don't have to come to your house and kick your redneck ass. So if you order something in the next 10 minutes, and if you don't, you better lock your fucking doors. Because I am the Reverend Jake Slayer, and I will fuck your day up. And by the way, I love you all. Send money, please.
What most people don't know is that's the end result of going down on ODB right there.
Does it make you that angry? I am not that angry.
Welcome, Gohan, into the show. Gohan, Gohan, you are late. You know, guess who you just missed out on?
Oh, who did I miss out on?
You missed out on Buff Bagwell.
Oh, wasn't he like he was a former champion, wasn't he, in WCW?
I
think. I'm not mistaken.
Former tag champ,
Sit down, Gohan. Take some notes. Listen to the show. And
yeah. Now listen to the archive that will be on YouTube.
Smoke some swamp bud.
All right, a question for everybody, starting with you, Gohan. Taking into account what happened at Money in the Bank with CM Punk winning the spinner belt in the WWE, could this have been WWE's creative way of retiring the spinner belt, and possibly we might be seeing a new look to the WWE Championship in next week?
It could be, Billy, but I just thought of this today, and maybe not everyone will agree with me, but this could be if CM Punk did re-sign with WWE, which we don't know yet. I think they could do a similar thing like they did back in the old days with HBK and Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title, where they have CM Punk come back as the real WWE champion, and have the new champion, whether it be The Miz or Rey Mysterio, and they present them with the new title, and then have CM Punk come back and say, they're not the real champion, I'm the real champion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, with that point, Gohan, I'd certainly agree with that. It was something that I was going to convey, especially when you consider the pay-per-view after SummerSlam is Night of Champions.
Well, why not just do away with that title completely and just have the Intercontinental title as the main title on SmackDown?
Dolph Ziggler as a world champion? Oh, no, we've already had that.
Well, no, that's on SmackDown. They have Raw they have the U.S. title as their title, and then SmackDown has the Intercontinental. But Ziggler's the U.S. champion right now on Raw.
Yeah, a minute. Shall we go to Andy?
Yeah, let's go to Andy. Andy, what are your thoughts on this subject? Are we looking at possibly the end of the spinner belt in the WWE, taking into account what happened at Money in the Bank?
Please, God, throw some of your British mojo on it and say yes.
Andy? Wait, hold on. Let's get Andy on the line first. That'll help. And no, he's not on the line. No, Andy's Skype is going. Well, let's go to a person I know I didn't get a chance to get to for Buff Bagwell, and I am sorry about that, James. But James, what are your thoughts about this? Are we looking at the end of the spinner belt in the WWE?
I hope yes, but most likely they may find a way to get the spinner belt back. But I think most likely we will find a new belt.
Was that James or was that Carlito?
That was James.
Okay.
Chris, starting with you, it was announced after Money in the Bank, the suspension of Sin Cara due to failure of the wellness policy, testing positive for anabolic steroids. What are your reactions to that?
I think, I don't know, but guys, I'm just on here for a few quick seconds. This is my last night on WGS. Later.
What? What happened?
Who was that?
That was Chris Masters. I don't know what happened there. Well, Hitman, to you, same question here. What do you think about the suspension of Sin Cara?
It kind of is a sad thing because, they were hyping up Sin Cara a lot, and, I think he would have been one of the small guys that actually made it really big in the business, or in the WWE, because, I think the only small guy I can think of at the moment who has really made it, who has really, been a huge star in the WWE has been Rey Mysterio. So I thought Sin Cara was going to end up being kind of like that, but, he made a mistake. He shouldn't have made the mistake, and, yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Let me defer on this subject. Now, I think it's a huge eye opener, actually, to the business that being a small guy in the business, that these are the ends that you have to resort to compete and stay at that level with Vince. You have to be as big as you possibly can, and being only 5'6", 5'7" inches tall, like myself, these are the things that you have to resort to. I think it's a huge eye opener. I don't think it's a travesty whatsoever. Because it's just I don't really know good words to express how I'm feeling about that, but I think it's a great thing that he did get busted. I mean, really, I think it's great.
Well, guys and gals, we're here on the live stream. We're rapidly coming to a close here. Go on. I want to start with you. What has been your biggest? What are your thoughts on this week on? Your final thoughts for the week and this week of wrestling. Considering everything that happened, including at Money in the Bank, and also what happened on Monday Night Raw.
Well, Billy, I gotta say, this is a great week for wrestling. I actually ordered Money in the Bank, and it's the first pay-per-view since this year's WrestleMania. I usually only order WrestleMania, WrestleMania, and I actually decided to order this pay-per-view because of the hype of it, and it did deliver. It was more worth it than this year's WrestleMania. Best pay-per-view in 5 years, like Ashley said just early, definitely the best. And Monday Night Raw, you know, they did that whole thing with Vince McMahon getting kayfabe fired, and I will say kayfabe fired from chairman of the board to keep it going, to keep the hype going, to keep it going into SummerSlam, which they want to be the second best pay-per-view of the year, which they failed on, and this is perfect momentum for them to keep that going. That's what I think they're doing right now by doing this, you know, keeping the fans that ordered Money in the Bank pay-per-view interested in it, with the hope that CM Punk will come back and, you know, verse one of the new WWE champions, maybe have that angle like I said earlier, you know, the new WWE champion versus CM Punk, the true WWE champion, you know, do something like that. But, yeah, it's been a great a week for professional wrestling, well worth the money. And anyone who hasn't ordered Money in the Bank in the WGS team right now, who's watching this or listening right now, order the freaking replay. Get the DVD when it comes out. I'm telling you right now, it is worth every penny, every freaking penny, more worth it than this year's WrestleMania. That's all I got to say.
Now, go on. Before we let you go, keep in mind one thing coming this Saturday, July 23rd, at GCW's 100% Chance of Pain. Nick Bondage is going to be killing me with the steel chair.
What is that, a storyline or something you guys are doing?
No.
Oh, it's actually real?
He's gonna hit me in the head with a steel chair on July 23rd.
Is that going to be on your is that going to be on your YouTube channel?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Oh, that's going to be interesting. I'll be watching that, Billy.
Yeah, but the thing is, after Saturday night, I might not remember who anybody is after that show. So
I'll be watching that.
All right, Gohan, thank you very much for calling in, man. You have a great night.
Okay.
All right, now, oh, shoot, I accidentally hung up on Nick Bondage. I am so sorry. I did not mean for that to happen. Nick, call back in, Nick. Anyway, Grizz, did you watch Money in the Bank Sunday night?
Yeah, I did. I certainly did. I loved it.
All right, cool. What did you think of the ending involving CM Punk and John Cena? Yow! Wow, holding times, to Chris and Andy, both of you guys for some reason have your hold music on for WGS Radio. I have no idea why. Anyway, what were your reactions to CM Punk winning the WWE Championship Sunday night?
Well, I tell you what, it kind of, I mean, I think a lot of people had questions on whether or not he had re-signed or anything, you know, and I'd kind of been saying that if he had re-signed, I thought he would win the title. So I was actually expecting Del Rio to cash in on him if he hadn't re-signed. But then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, man, he came out with a brand new T-shirt. Why would they make him a brand new T-shirt? I know it was just for the night, but why would they make him a new T-shirt if he's gone? Why would he win the title if he's gone? I just don't see him getting this big old push, and then, okay, buddy, you're leaving anyways. But you know, we're giving a nice kick out the door. You know what I mean? I just don't think it would make sense if he was really leaving. But I'll tell you what, everybody who sat here at my house and watched that pay-per-view, we jumped up for joy when CM Punk beat John Cena.
Now, Gohan did address this on when he talked about it, what happened on Monday Night Raw. I'm starting with you, Ashley. What were your reactions to seeing what happened with Vince McMahon hit with him being, quote, kayfabe fired?
Good point. It's complicated, yeah. Say again, Billy. Sorry, I was concentrating on something else.
All right, we're talking about what happened with Vince McMahon at the end of wow, somebody's phone. Anyway, the reaction to what happened with Vince McMahon on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, the reaction was huge. The fact that, you know, Triple H comes out and goes, okay, the board have said you're no longer fit to be chairman, so we're letting you, you know, take a back seat or whatever. which was a decent, big move, but clearly from the ratings it didn't draw enough people in. It didn't hardly change because it still was a 3.2, which, according to rumor backstage, even Vince was kind of sad at that. The fact that they put all this hard-earned effort into into doing this, and I'm trying to.
Yeah, it was Grizz's phone line. I apologize about that.
But yeah, they were putting all this effort into doing this decent promo, and then it just doesn't get any reaction in the ratings. Perhaps Vince McMahon's realizing perhaps he needs competition.
Mr. Bondage, what were your reactions to what transpired with Vince McMahon and Triple H at the end of Monday Night Raw?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, as a week in whole, I won't necessarily comment on just that incident, but as a week in whole, it definitely was a good week in wrestling because it created so much controversy. And if you go back to the basics of professional wrestling, controversy creates viewers. And there was so much controversy that happened this week with Sin Cara, with CM Punk, with the title, with Vince McMahon being fired as the CEO. I mean, it was a fabulous week in wrestling.
Dang, Andy's going to have to recall back in. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry.
I love you, brother. If you're listening to the archives, but elevator music, I can't do. But it was a great week in wrestling overall, just due to the controversy. And even though they had low ratings for this pay-per-view, I think after everybody sees what happens this week and then during the pay-per-view, I guarantee you, the next week, people are going to be glued to the set to see what happens. I would love to see them completely do away with that spinner title and have just one champion in that company, and then bring back the Intercontinental Championship as the secondary title and bring back the status that it should be as a secondary title for whoever's going to be competing for that next level to be the heavyweight champion would be a great thing. I think that's the direction they should go in. Whether they do that or not, I don't know, but that's the direction they should go in.
Let's go to Hitman. Hitman, what were your reactions to what happened with Vince McMahon? The way we look at it, it's possible we're looking at it that this could be possibly Mr. McMahon's, the end of his character, his last on-camera appearance with the WWE.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be his last on-camera appearance, but, it was definitely at this point I still don't know if it was he actually did get, I mean, I know he wouldn't have actually gotten stripped of his duties or whatever. I know it was probably, if it was legit, he probably stepped down or something backstage and whatever. It does kind of suck because, Vince McMahon, I don't know. It sucks because Vince McMahon, he was he obviously knew what he was doing when it came to like being a wrestling promoter and all that, or else WWE wouldn't have been as big as it is today. So sucks to see him go, but eventually everything's got to end, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, leader of Team Gooch. Mick is still here, being Goochified as ever. Mick, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, what are your thoughts about the spinner belt? Taking into account what happened with CM Punk, are we looking at possibly WWE finally getting rid of the spinner belt and bringing in a new, better looking belt to be the WWE Championship?
Yes, and I'm glad because I'm getting tired of this plastic-looking spinner belt.
What about your thoughts?
Right up that rapper's ass.
what about your thoughts on what happened with Vince McMahon at the end of Monday Night Raw? Mick. What about your thoughts on what happened with Vince McMahon at the end of Monday Night Raw?
I didn't get to see Raw, but I know what happened, and interesting.
It is very interesting here. I would love to go to Andy right now, but I'm not even sure if he has his. No. Andy went Tron on us. How about that?
I don't know, but you know, Andy will be here. I think it's just technical difficulties or whatever.
Yeah, it's either that or he went Tron on us because he just sounded all 1980s on us. And I bombed the hell out of that joke, didn't I?
Yeah.
James, what are your thoughts about what happened with Vince McMahon at the end of Monday Night Raw? A lot of people, are up in arms about it. You mean, again, we might be looking at the end of the Mr. McMahon character. What do you think?
I don't see it as the end of the Mr. McMahon character. I think it's just him doing the usual, I'm gonna take a break for this long while you make us see me on TV. But it was just really a shocker at how the storyline was paying out on this one. Because I wasn't really expecting McMahon to, be fired, quote unquote fired. I thought it would be like John Cena being fired and then some odd reason he'd get rehired. But yeah.
Mr. Nick Bondage, is it time for Vince McMahon to finally step back and let other people work his company?
Absolutely. I mean, if you haven't noticed in the past, I don't know, I'd say probably 3 years, or 2 years, you've seen Vince McMahon.
How many laps
step back
and
take a back seat to what's going on. I mean, you see these periodically come on through, but nothing like during the Attitude Era. And I think he has got the hint as far as the show goes and the business goes. But here's finally time for him to step back and some of the guys, dare I say it, take his place pretty much.
Whoa.
And maybe finally will reveal who this phenomenon.
Nick, I'm having quite a bit of difficult time trying to hear you. And you might have been having problems with that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We were talking about Nick Bondage.
Oh.
Is Hitman? Yeah, we've still got Hitman on the line, I think, have we?
Hi.
God Almighty, don't do that. I thought you were one of those fucking prank call lines. When you did that like that, I was like, I've heard that before, and I'm not having any of that shit. The point you made in the chat room, do you want to make it on the air so it's there for everybody that's listening?
Oh no, I don't want to take too much time.
Well, no, okay. As much as people hate Vince, you've got to respect him as a promoter. If he wasn't the type of person he is today, the business wouldn't be as big as he was, and he wouldn't have killed off WCW. And possibly pissed off Buff Bagwell, but anyway.
But Nick Bondage is back. Nick, apparently you were having some phone troubles because we had lost you.
Yeah, I stepped into an elevator, guys. I'm sorry about that. But like I was saying, I think Vince is getting with the times, and finally, and he's decided to take a step back from the show and let some of the younger guys who are up and coming to run the show, dare I say, a Michael Cole, to step up and be the head honcho guy. And maybe finally we'll find out who this Raw general manager is. So,
just a question, Nick.
Yeah.
When you're in the elevator, was the music like this?
No, actually, it was the same thing that was playing when he switched over to Andy, and Andy wasn't there.
Oh, like this? Oh, my God. It's Caribbean on it.
That
does
more
sound like it's from a 1970s porno.
That was the same music that I played to seduce ODB.
Oh.
Oh, yuck.
And she was putty in my hands.
Oh, man. Well, there are a couple of interesting things to talk about before we head out for the week here on WrestleDOWN. Now, Ashley, you brought this to my attention of a record being broken when it comes to professional wrestling.
Yeah, it actually happened about 9 months ago, but it's only got the official confirmation. There was I can't remember where because I can't find the story, but there was a story regarding, I think it was, well, certainly an indie fed. They decided to do and break the world record for the world's longest wrestling match. 6 guys went in an Iron Man match for 12 hours.
12 hours?
Yes.
Wow.
The record previously was held, I think, in Japan, which was 11.5 hours.
What?
And they broke it by half an hour, so they beat it by miles.
Jesus Christ. Could you imagine the fee for the pay-per-view for that one?
Damn.
Yeah. Very crazy. Other bit of side news that's just come through as we've been on the air. Jeff Hardy has been continued again. And oh my God! His new court date is going to be September the 8th, which I believe is a Thursday, because September the 11th is when Hardcore Justice is on as a pay-per-view. So, no, not Hardcore Justice. No Surrender is on as a pay-per-view. Sorry.
Wow, well, we've had a very interesting evening tonight here on WrestleDOWN, the discussion of wrestling now.
Can we please get to my hate-filled story of the week? Sorry.
Well, before we go there, I think as in due right to announce that from this past Thursday on Impact Wrestling, Sting is now the new World Heavyweight Champion. But here's the thing that's starting to bug me just a little bit. I did bring it up on my Impact Wrestling review on YouTube. Is it possible that they're just totally phasing the name TNA out of the company? If you think back to the promo on Impact Wrestling that night, he didn't refer to it as the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He referred to it as the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah. TNA is on its way out, thanks to Hogan and Bischoff.
Mr. Bondage, will this name change benefit or hurt the company in a whole?
I think it will hurt them, because having the name TNA, people associate it with NWA TNA. And in my opinion, and of course it's my opinion, it gave it credibility back in those days when it was NWA TNA. Now, they've gone from the NWA TNA to just TNA Impact, and then now it's from NWA Impact to just Impact. I think it's a slow whittle away process at any type of I'm not sure the word I'm looking for, the serious background. Right? It'll be like a new company, kind of like the UWF or WMW or whatever. I think it hurts them.
Mick37, what are your thoughts about one, Sting becoming the new champion of the company, and two, I don't know if you ever gave us your opinions about the new Joker gimmick that Singh is implying in the company now. What are your thoughts about that?
One, calm down, Heath Ledger. You're not going to be as good as Heath Ledger. And two, I still call him Heath Ledger. But, why
Your
are they
thoughts
pushing
about him?
Henderson like they did Hardy?
Why so serious?
When you said Juan Sting, I thought, has Juan Cena got a brother?
Yep.
Oh, God.
And also, I almost made another Christopher Reeves comment, but I'm going to leave it alone. All right.
Wow. Thank God.
Yeah. And,
Miss Parker!
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you.
Miss Tessmacher might see an uplift in her approval ratings tomorrow. Hint, hint.
Boing. Now
It's
that
less
that
boing,
is what you
more
need to go.
chicks.
You know, that's more. Now you know what? You're gonna force me to play this.
Money, 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 money.
And no, we're not watching Donald Trump's new series. What? Anyway, all right. Actually, what is this hate-filled story of the week you got?
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Bring it, brother. Bring it for full force.
This is the story from TampaBay.com, from the Newport Richey area of Tampa. The show hadn't even reached the tag team matches when the fracas erupted. The band demanded to be paid. The undercard wrestlers wanted their money too. Facing an angry backstage crowd, veteran wrestling promoter Dino Puglia announced he was having a cardiac emergency and left. A Saturday night tribute show to Macho Man at the Newport Richey's All Sports Arena had enough behind-the-scenes drama to rival any wrestling storyline, except the backstabbing was real. Lanny Poffo said, "I've stopped answering his calls and don't have anything to do with him. I thought it was going to be a good thing for my brother's name, but I regret the outcome and prefer to distance myself from the stench." Now, among the problems, one, it was billed as a fundraiser for the All Children's Hospital and the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital without either hospital's approval. And now he says that he didn't raise enough money to cut a check to either charity, so it all goes to him. Two, of the 8-star names that were used to promote the event, only half showed up, and at least two, Lanny himself and the Honky Tonk Man, said they never agreed to attend. Lanny told Dino that he would be in Niagara Falls that weekend and wouldn't be able to make it. He said, "I shouldn't have been mentioned in any advertising, it makes me look bad not to turn up." Honky Tonk posted actually a 15-minute clip on YouTube of a phone call in which he angrily confronted Dino Puglia about fraud and false advertising. Puglia blamed errors on another organizer who made the poster. Number 3, the local band at the gig and some wrestlers say they were never paid. The Outlaw, Ron Bass and Bugsy McGraw got their money, while the legend Ox Baker only wanted to be reimbursed for his plane ticket from Connecticut. But he said that he'll repay Baker when he can. He gave also money to the fellow promoter Bob Hamill to pay the undercard wrestlers. Hamill declined to comment for the story, but the man who owns All Sports Arena, McGarry, said Hamill dug into his own pocket. And the band, Dino said, "I never promised them anything. They volunteered their time, and suddenly after the show they tried to hold me up for money." The event drew about 150 people who paid between $5 and $10 for admission. But Puglia said the event didn't net enough money to donate to the charities as the promotions promised. In fact, neither hospital agreed to be associated with the event. St. Jude's knew nothing about it, apparently, according to one of their representatives, and the All Children's didn't learn about it until they saw the promotions claiming the event was a fundraiser for it. The media coordinator for the All Children's charity, Ann Miller, said, "Our people then got in touch with Puglia to inform him that we would need to fill out the paperwork for the event. When we looked into it, we decided that we didn't want our logo used and that he'd need to provide copies of various types of event insurance and licenses, but he never did that. He went ahead and did the event using our name without consent. Others who supported the event, believing it was a major and bona fide fundraiser, was disappointed. The arena owner, Gary, said he will send his own donations to all children's. Big Vito LaGrasso said it's really sad that All Children's Hospital gets nothing out of this. The event and the way it was handled is a blemish on the name of wrestling. We do a lot of good charity work in this business, but he didn't even have the consent of the charity to do this. Normally, you'd have someone there from the hospital you present a check to, but he didn't even have people collecting the money. Vito also called the show a rinky-dink operation. There was no sound system and no bell to ring. So, in honor of the Macho Man, Dino Puglia held marginally observed moments of silence, repeating "ding, ding" into the microphone. LaGrasso helped organize the event until he and Puglia had a falling out. He blamed LaGrasso for many events' problems, including the misleading promotions, which Vito flatly denies. Puglia banned Vito LaGrasso from the event, threatening to have him arrested if he showed up. He even deleted me from his friends on Facebook, he added. Puglia repeatedly insists that he's not the bad guy and intended to do something great for the charities and Macho Man's memory, but none of this turned out to be the tribute that Lanny Poffo envisioned for his late brother. Lanny finished by saying, "I know Dino, and when he said he wanted to do the event, I said, go ahead. This is the first time he's ever asked me to work for him, and I can tell you this is the end of the relationship. He used my brother's name to promote an event, and then he turns it into a disgrace. I'm sorry Randy's name was involved, but I know that it won't tarnish his legacy."
I call 100% bullshit and shenanigans on that. I mean, you've got guys like the Honky Tonk Man and Lenny Poffo on a card. First of all, they only drew 150 people. Okay, then you got poorly ran, obviously, guys that don't even know how to run a show, running a show. And then you've got, guys that don't pay their wrestlers on top of it. I mean, it's just, Jesus Christ. I 100% agree with that. It's just a blemish on the face of wrestling. It really is. I've ran into promoters like this before in the past where they do stuff like this at shows. Take a hiatus mid-card when they realize they can't pay the workers because the show turnout was terrible. And then you're left kind of like, oh, wait, am I even going to get paid tonight?
That reflects it, I think.
And I just want to let everybody know.
I had to get that out because that deserves mentioning because, if you try and tarnish the legacy of one of the greats, it's just not right.
It's wrong. It's wrong on every level of the word. I mean, I can't believe a guy like this would actually try to pull this off. The only reason why he was tarnishing Macho Man's name and his legacy, in my personal opinion, was to make a buck. That was the only reason he was trying to do that.
And I just want to let everybody know real quick, I am at the residence of the bad mother trucker himself, Trucker Jones, and he is cleaning his Glock and smoking a joint at the same time.
I can laugh. I can laugh because I know him. You'll probably kill me too come Saturday. But anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for final thoughts and final comments of the week, starting with, of course, the Al Snow Mark himself, and probably after tonight, the Buff Bagwell Mark. Hitman, final thoughts of the week.
It was, what can I say? It's been a great, not just week, but a great month in wrestling. I've always liked WWE, but this month there's just been something, just what they've been doing this month has really just made me, realize how great, not how great, but, how can I put this?
Awesome.
How awesome the WWE is, I guess. I'm glad to call myself a wrestling fan after this whole past month, because it's just been really great.
And then we finally find that Rock is going to be at Survivor Series plugging the hell out of his thing. And suddenly it turns to, oh, God.
God. Well, you know what? Last week here on the show, I already made my opinions quite clear on where I stand with The Rock. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's go to James. James, your final thoughts of the week.
Interesting week. I'm just interested to see what's going to go on with Raw next week.
Especially with the concerning the WWE title, right?
Yep. Not just that, and
What will it look? What will it look like?
What?
Who will be the champion? Will Del Rio cash in his briefcase? And will CM Punk have grown that mustache back?
Especially for his porn career too. WWE fan who is on the phone right now. Your final thoughts of the week.
It's been a pretty good week.
Awesome. Now, what was your reaction to hearing the fact that Sin Cara got suspended?
It surprised me a lot.
Well, let's go to Mr. Nick Bondage, who's, I believe, while he's talking to Trucker Jones, he's also conveying the message when it comes to going down on ODB. Sharing is not caring.
It was a great week in wrestling this week. I hope they keep following the formula because unpredictability is definitely the way to go. And to my buddy Rev Jake, I wish you could have been more involved in the show tonight. Always miss you as always. Andy, I wish I didn't have to listen to elevator music every time you were introduced to come on the show. And Billy, 6 days, TikTok, it's coming. What's been promised will come to pass.
Sick.
I felt it only appropriate to play that while you were addressing me on that subject.
Isn't Saturday 3 days away?
Oh God! Thank you for reminding him.
It'll take him 2 days to recover before he actually posts the video. So you guys can see it 6 days.
Well, let's go to someone who is the king of being random.
Oh my God!
Leader of Team Gooch, Mick 37. Mick, your final thoughts of the week.
Alright, my final thoughts of the week is I like freaking cupcakes and muffins. And
what flavor of muffin?
Triple H brings good things. All flavors of muffins except for anything I may be allergic to that I haven't tried yet. But
jelly muffins?
I like those muffins.
Strawberry as we go to Ashley. Ashley, your final thoughts of the week.
Overall, excellent week in wrestling this coming week. Interesting stuff going down at Impact tomorrow. From what I've seen from spoilers, although I won't give anything away, some actual very good matches, including a pretty good main event with Orton and Kane in a street fight. Getting a lot of interest there. And who knows what's going to happen on Raw next week. I mean, all we know for sure is Miz is taking on Mysterio, and that apparently Triple H is going to be in charge. So, does that mean officially that Triple H isn't the Raw General Manager? We'll have to wait and see.
Dick, I got a question for you. After you hit me with the head on the chair, are you going to make me go down on Rosie Lotta Love?
I might make you go down on Mexican Giant Soul Lady.
Oh my God!
Oh, man. You just gave me scars. I don't even want to know.
I'll give you a bowl of salsa to ease the pain.
Oh man! With that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me this week. Hitman, James, the Studley Man, Ashley, the leader of Team Gooch, Mick 37, Nathan, Andy, Gohan, the WWE fan, the host of Rockin' Waves 11-294, Chris Masters, the keeper of Fenwick the Mouse, and of course our very special guest, the one, the only
Kevin Walsh, and
that
Mr. Bagwell.
Yeah, well, yeah, Buff Bagwell, and of course our friend Bob, who was in the chat room and who called in. Yeah. Anyway, I'm
Hitman.
And
breathe real heavy to take us out.
How odd, because that's the sound I'm going to make after Nick Bondage hits me with a steel chair.
You're going to get an orgasm? You sadomasochist.
No. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm WB Belly Boudreaux saying, please pray for my soul. Bye! On that climax.
GCW presents live 100% Chance of Pain, July 23rd at the American Legion Hall at 3319 Veteran Memorial Drive in Abbeville, Louisiana. For more ticket information, call 337-366-7480.
This muffin-tastic putting down an ODB episode of WrestleDOWN, the discussion of wrestling now, has been brought to you by WGS Radio and www.thewrestlegamershow.com, and also brought to you by Nick Bondage Condoms, now in black and white. Nick Bondage Condoms, they're a chair shot in the penis. I'd also like to remind everybody that Saturday, July 23rd, GCW presents 100% Chance of Pain. For more information on the show, please visit www.thewrestlegamershow.com.
Now, Billy, the board of directors have had a meeting.
Oh, no.
And, well...
You have a board of directors here?
Apparently so, yeah. They've had to inform me that, I'm taking over.
Oh, no. No!